Welcome back. Our Woman of the Week is living her dream. She's now a published romance novel writer, but it certainly didn't come easy. Meet Kelly Irvin.
Got married, had kids, and then suddenly I was 45 and I said, oh my gosh, if I'm going to do this, I really need to do this. I'm Kelly Irvin, I'm a writer. It took 7 years for me to get my first contract, and so it was a long period of time of working on it, of writing my first book, and then learning that I still had a lot to learn about how to do that. It was a very long process of actually making that dream come true. The first book that I wrote is not the book that was published. In fact, I think there were 3 before the book that was actually, the first one published was A Deadly Wilderness. The last person she wanted to see on the day of her parents' funeral was the man who killed them. When you get that book in your hand, you realize that you've taken a huge step forward in your journey toward your dream. I mean, this was my dream to do this. When I held that book in my hand, I said, you know, I'm here. To me, it was somebody thought this story was good enough to publish. You know, a publishing house looked at it and said, this is a good story, and we're going to take our time and effort and the expertise of our people, our editors, our marketing staff, and we're going to publish this book and sell it, you know, out there for people to read. Mr. Kramer's face turned a red so dark it looked purple. I just feel like every day that I'm living my dream. You know, I've continued to write, and I've been very fortunate and blessed to have these books be published.
Well, you know, she's got a lot to say, and our Woman of the Week, Kelly Irvin, is right here with us to talk about her book, this one here, To Love and to Cherish. And this is about an Amish romance novel, right? So, Kelly, welcome and good morning to you.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how you came up with this concept. And one of my first questions, too, that I had was, where did the Amish part come from?
Well, actually, I was reading some newspaper articles about a rash of buggy accidents that were occurring and how law enforcement was trying to decide how to deal with the issue of these 2 kinds of lifestyles coming together. You have cars on the roads and you have these buggies on the road, and I couldn't think of how it was to live a life that different from what we're accustomed to. And that just kind of rolled into the whole issue of forgiveness and the fact that the Amish people are tremendously forgiving. And I just wondered if I could be, I asked myself that question, could I be that forgiving? And out of all of that thought came To Love and to Cherish. And
what, from your point of view, from the author's point of view, if you could sum it up in, I don't want to make it short because you worked so hard to do it. What would a reader expect from it? You know, what kind of emotions are they going to feel?
Well, I think they're going to put themselves in the shoes of the main character, Emma Sherrick, when she has to deal with a tragedy in her life, when her life is just ripped apart, and then she's called by her faith to forgive the person who's responsible, and asking ourselves the question, could we do that? We're all called to forgive, and it's not as easy as well, we all know it's just not an easy thing to do when there's a tragedy in our lives. I think it's a good story, and they'll enjoy the story, but there'll also be some thoughtfulness about it. Yeah,
kind of questioning yourself a little bit too. Now, did it change the way you would forgive at all? Did you, once you were done, kind of the pen was down? Did you kind of reevaluate anything?
I would like to say that, you know, but I think we're only human, and when things happen, I felt very convicted that, you know, I haven't had to deal with the things in my life that this character is dealing with, and so I have to say to myself, you know, you need to step up and not just say, well, you know, I can forgive and not forgive, but I won't forget, which is what a lot of us say. That's just not, you're not there yet if that's what you're doing.
Right. You had mentioned that it took you 7 years to get published, and it wasn't even your first book that you wrote that was the published one. Tell us a little bit about that struggle. I guess it'd be a struggle at the end of it, right?
Well, it is, because I think as a newspaper reporter, which I was originally, I thought, well, I'm a writer, I can do this, but it's very different to write fiction, and there's a learning curve. Found that there's a huge learning curve, and it's really important that you perfect your craft, that you go to workshops, you work at it, and be willing to take criticism and get better. And so I had to do all those things, and then know how to reach out to publishers and agents and go to workshops and get your work in front of people who make those kinds of decisions. And so I had to go through all of that over those years before I was very fortunate and blessed to be offered a contract for A Deadly Wilderness, the first book.
Okay, so what was that like? When you finally got those? Was it a phone call? I mean,
yes, I got a call from my agent, and I was just, I mean, it's just, you just can't imagine how incredible that feels. I mean, mean, I call them my mother, and I have some critique partners that I work with that, we critique each other's works, and one of them's in Denver and the other one's in Canada, and so I had to contact them and some of my local writer friends that I've been working with for years, all of us supporting each other.
Yeah.
It's just reaching out to all those people and sharing that good news and knowing that they were as excited as I was.
Yeah.
And of course my family and my husband and kids who've lived through all that time of me trying, the tears for the rejections and all that. So having the support and sharing that celebration with everybody involved was really a wonderful experience.
I can only imagine. What advice then would you give to people, the struggling writer at home that is, or even the newspaper, you said you were a newspaper reporter, just trying to get that first break, and especially in the book world, as you mentioned too, it's just really difficult to kind of break through. What advice do you give them right now?
The best advice that I got starting out was, number one, to join critique groups, join organizations of other writers so that you can get better, go to workshops, work to get better, and be able to take criticism. You have to have a very thick skin in this business, and that helps you to get better. And then go to workshops where you can pitch your work and get your work in front of publishers that a lot of them don't take unsolicited manuscripts anymore, so it's important to go and get where they'll see your work. And just not to give up, to write every day. I think that was some really good advice I got as well, is the people who give up are not going to get published. The people who keep trying and persevere, those are the ones who have that opportunity.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about being not just an author, your mom, your wife, you've got a lot of different things going on, a career even in reporting and things like that. What's your favorite part that you like to tell everybody about all of these? Kind of a life journey here.
I think it's pursuing your dream. I was 45 years old before I said, oh, I have got to do this or I'm not going to get the chance. And so, I love being a mother. I have a job in public relations now, and I tell people about the wonderful things that happen in the city's Parks and Recreation Department, and all of that is wonderful, but I also had a personal dream, and knowing that I've been able to accomplish that has just been, I am living my dream.
That's great, and it's very inspirational. So thank you so much. It was great to spend some time with you.
Thank
you
you
so much.
Me.
We appreciate it. We're looking forward to reading the whole thing. It's called To Love and To Cherish, one of the many books that you have actually written. So grab this one if you can. And thanks so much for sharing that advice too. Very helpful.